this episode of Disrupt Education. I'm here with Ciara Doherty.
Hey.
Thank you. We are in the Oak Park Library main branch in a study room that she actually did homebound tutoring in.
Yep.
That's
haven't
cool.
been here in a while.
So tell us about who you are, and you graduated early.
Yes.
Start with your education in high school, and then let's roll. What do you got going on?
So freshman year, I came from Julian. Julian was fun. I had a little too much fun at Julian. People kind of knew me for that when I came into high school, but I was able to make a lot of new friends, which was nice. I was super excited. I'm dyslexic, so they placed me in classes based on my comprehension versus my reading. So I had all these nice classes. We were reading good books. I was all excited. And then the reading part came, and that's when I realized I'm dyslexic as heck.
Did you find it? Yeah, I mean,
Hell,
yeah, you're dyslexic as hell.
I'm dyslexic as hell.
Yeah.
So I realized I wasn't able to learn like other kids. And that's when the whole class placement problem started, because they either had me in special ed, which was like up in a different part of the school. You didn't see any of your friends. They didn't even give us real books. They would give us like these really thick, photocopied, gray, hard to read packets, and just have us sit for like a whole class period listening to an audiobook, and we would all be asleep.
Did this make you frustrated because you wanted to you actually wanted to read
yes,
and figure out how to do it?
My mom reads to me actually to this day. I'm 17 years old. I still ask for bedtime stories when I can't sleep.
Cool.
Yeah, my mom reads to me, so she would try to keep up with the books, but my mom has a life too.
Sure.
There's a lot of reading in high school. So I would listen to audiobooks, but I couldn't always find them. And for class materials, you're not going to find it on Audible, the packet your teacher gives you. So it was very, very difficult.
Right. But you got through that because you're graduated now.
Yes.
And you did it in 3 years.
Yes.
Tell us how that happened.
So let's see. My sophomore year, I was having issues academically, socially, disciplinary, in all the ways. I was just having difficulties in a regular school. And I said, you know what, I've had enough, I'm not going. So they put me on a program called Homebound, which was actually in this room.
Right, that's crazy that we're actually in here.
Basically the school would send you to go meet with a tutor a couple times a week, and you would do your work at home. I primarily was on that for mental health problems that I was dealing with, but by the end of it I was like, oh, this is kind of nice, I'm not going back. And then I decided I didn't like Homebound either, so I was at home. And at a certain point, my mom was like, what are you doing? Like, where are we going from here?
Right.
And I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to get there. So they convinced me to try a new school, and I didn't know how I felt about it. I had heard things, good and bad, but I went in, I gave it a try, and I'm so glad I did. This school saved my life. It was a different school. It's how I think schools should be. And it was just a really great opportunity to kind of be on the forefront of what education is going to be like.
So what was it that you wanted to do that your mom was, you didn't know how to get there at that time, or is it what you're doing now?
Yeah, so back in sophomore year, I had a DSLR camera. I didn't have a video camera yet, but I just loved taking pictures. I would take pictures of my friends. I'll go into the city, take pictures of like graffiti and art that I thought was cool. And then summer between sophomore and junior year rolls around after I've been at this school, or maybe it was between freshman and sophomore. One summer, one of my friends, I have a lot of friends that started rapping because all of us are kind of similar. We went the more artistic way because school it didn't interest us as academically. So most of my friends, we weren't wanting to be lawyers, doctors. We were wanting to be rappers, singers, artists, architects, business management, CEOs, like things like that you don't necessarily need to go to school for to learn the skills you need. So I had a friend who was rapping, and he was like, hey, look, I know you take pictures, you think you can make me a music video? And I always watched music videos because my favorite music video director is Cole Bennett, and I used to watch his videos all the time because I couldn't sleep. I would just watch them over and over again. And through that, I kind of found that to be like a passion of mine. And then when I actually started making the video, I was like, I could do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So that's where I found, that's where I want to be.
So then going into this next step of schooling, What was that like? How is it? You're obviously a creative, and you know, a lot of my viewers know that traditional education does not lend itself very well to creatives. How was it different? What happened in the school that you just really latched onto?
So when I got to the school I'm at now, they basically said that I was going to be able to direct my learning. It's interest-based learning. So I needed an art credit to graduate. They didn't make me, I had actually been in an art class going into my freshman year, got like a D or something. My art wasn't didn't fit the guidelines. I guess my art was wrong. So I didn't do so well in that class. I don't think I got the credit, but at the new school, they're like, oh, you need an art credit, you're a photographer, right? And I was like, yeah. They're like, just send us some pictures, give us 25, 30 pictures. You can get an art credit. I was like, sweet.
Nice, nice. And you obviously, did you try harder because they just laid it out for you and just said, this is what you need? The way
it happened, the way I got to graduate early is because I came up with these big projects that I could earn a lot of credit for towards the end of the year. And I came up with them myself, and then I presented them to my teachers. They said, okay, you can get a credit for this, this, and this if you do that. So for example, instead of a big math final test, I actually did the budget for our end of the year barbecue. So I had to figure out how many people we were serving, plates, napkins, forks, all the food, all the budget, portions, everything. And that was a lot of math, but it kept me engaged in a way that a packet with just plain numbers on it wouldn't get me engaged. Same type of problems, but I had to figure out what to do myself, and the numbers were actually adding up to something that I could see tangibly in front of my face.
Yeah, right. So an actual math that you were using. That's pretty amazing. So now what are you doing now? Where are you at professionally?
So right now that I'm done with high school, I work 2 jobs that are, I guess I call them my real jobs.
Right.
Because it's jobs I have to show up to. I get an official paycheck. I work at a bakery, and I work at the Park District doing concessions. And then I also make money doing photo shoots, video shoots, and recently my new side hustle is I've been doing eyelash extensions for women, and that's been going pretty well. So basically just have a bunch of different things that I'm working on right now.
So let's go back then into schooling, because it seems like one of the biggest pieces that I'm hearing is when you realized that you were dyslexic, there were some other things going on, and then it was almost like you were shoved in a corner. Did you feel like that?
Yes, I would have problems reading, and that would cause me to get really irritated. So then I would start having problems with other students, with teachers, all just because I felt like I was being shoved into a box. I know that sounds cliche, and that's what your whole thing is about, but I really was being shoved into a box. And even more literally, they shoved me into a separate part of the school that I wasn't allowed to really leave. I guess I felt like they didn't want me mixing with the other kids. So I was kind of stuck up there, and I was with kids I felt like I didn't necessarily belong with, because I felt like my peers weren't focused, they weren't as interested in learning and were being more babysat. So I felt like I didn't really have a place in a big school.
How would you change that? How would you change a traditional system to make it more accommodating, or basically push everybody to their potential?
I would offer more specific classes, instead of just having math, maybe have budgeting, or spatial reasoning, architecture type classes, because you can get the same skills, but you can definitely keep kids more engaged with a project than if you give them a 16-page packet and it's do the odds this night, do the evens this night. You're just looking at oh God, how am I going to do this? So I think you can definitely get people engaged more with projects, which with that comes more specific classes. But then also I would say teachers being open to kids not necessarily learning this way, and if they come to you and suggest one way, really be open to listening to it, because at the end of the day, it's not jail. You shouldn't have to do things one way or you're going to be punished. That's not how school should be.
You bring up a great point of personalizing it and trying to figure out, I always say start teaching students and stop teaching subjects.
Yes.
Would that be similar to what your school looks like?
That is exactly what my school looks like. The way that school I graduated from is a smaller school, and it was an alternative school, and we didn't have like class schedules where we had first period, second period, third period. We had agendas, which is, our school was modeled after like the workplace. So we had agendas. When we didn't do what we were supposed to do, we had write-ups. And when we got in trouble, we didn't have detention, we had unemployment.
Oh, wow.
So everything was set up like that. And we would get little paychecks for doing our work and completing it. And we would fill out timesheets. So it was really an interesting model for a school. And I'd like to see more schools like that. But what I liked is you can kind of do everything on your own time. So say your math, you only have like 15 minutes of math work. You're not stuck in math for 40 minutes on your phone.
Right, right. Nobody always learns the exact same time limit.
And then if I need more time when I do my reading, then I can dig into what my math time would have been if I was stuck in period blocks.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that model. I think I'm going to build one. Why not? Where can people find you?
Like, what do you mean?
On Instagram or
Instagram,
for photo business or doing some video
Instagram, I'm
stuff?
on Instagram at Ciara Doe, Keeradoh. Mostly I'd say people contact me through Instagram, and that's where I post most of my work.
Awesome. Well, I'll put that up down here. Ciara, thank you so much. Your journey is so interesting to me because you basically found what you wanted to do. And you basically disrupted the system and made it your own.
I did.
So I really appreciate you. Great. Check her out on Instagram. We will see you next time on Disrupt Education.